Welcome to the Bywords Show. I'm your host, Hannah Hughes. Bywords is all about equipping women for purposeful living by starting conversations, celebrating stories, and inspiring faith. In a world that applauds the hustle, I'm here to help you break free from the lies and come back to what really matters. It's time to get real, get rooted in truth, and come alive in relationship with Jesus so you can show up to each day with intention and confidence no matter where you're at in your story. Here we believe that embracing our stories brings hope, healing, and purpose to the process, and sharing our stories helps others do the same. Whether you're looking for a midweek faith refresh, practical tools for pursuing your dreams, or just need some good old-fashioned girl talk, you're in the right place. Grab your latte and let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Bywords Show. Today is the day. I'm so glad you're here. You guys, I'm so excited today to introduce you to Kelli Stahl. She has got quite the story, just an amazing testimony that we're going to get into today. But first of all, Kelli, I just have to say thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a true honor, and the way we met is such a God thing, so I'm excited to dive in.
Yes, I feel the same way. And you guys, we were just talking before we hit record, and Kelli is in the city that we just moved from when we were living in Texas. And so it feels very kindred, especially because we're both having snow days today, which is crazy. But this is so wild, but I'm so happy that we connected. Before we get into our conversation today, though, I have to ask you our little icebreaker question, which is what has been filling your cup lately, literally, but also figuratively?
Oh goodness, what's been filling my cup? Getting back into a routine. Today is an exception, but getting back into a routine and just having that something to look forward to, and the girls,
Yes.
they thrive in that. I thrive in that. So that's been definitely filling my cup.
That's amazing. And then what do you like to drink? What's your drink of choice? Do you have a favorite right now?
I recently got back into coffee, so I'm
Mm.
iced coffee, a little bit of cream, to keep me.
Ooh. Yes. I relate to that. I recently got back into coffee too, and I'm like, wow, I have so much respect for moms who don't drink coffee. Well, I will just let you kick us off, Kelli. Why don't you just start by sharing some of your story because you have been through a lot, and I love the way that your story has shaped your faith through childhood cancer and suffering and all of it. So why don't you just take us back to the very beginning?
Yeah. Well, my name's Kelly. I was born and raised in the small town of Weatherford. Mom and dad and uncle, aunt graduated from Weatherford. I graduated from Weatherford along with my cousins. So it was a very small community that, of course, has grown since then, but everyone knew each other. And it was a community where if someone was struggling, everyone was struggling, and we would come together as a community. So connection has always been the foundation from the beginning in my life, and helping each other out and seeking those needs. And so my mom was a nurse at Weatherford Hospital, and so she had that community right there already in place. And God rallied these people around in her life and in her career for a reason. And so at the age of 8, it was April of 97, I was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia. And we went through 2.5 years of chemo together. My mom was by my side every single second, every single doctor's appointment, chemo treatment, whatever it was. Dr. Bowman, my pediatric oncologist, him and my mom worked really well together in creating what is now like home health, chemo home health. So
Oh, wow.
kids can have chemo at home. Parents, my mom gave it to me, so parents can be taught to give it, or if they're not comfortable, then a nurse can come in and give chemo at home. It provided children to be normal and to try to live a somewhat of a normal life while still battling cancer. And so my mom and Dr. Bowman setting that pathway was huge. That was really cool. But yeah, I went through 2.5 years of chemo. I saw some friends survive. I saw some friends that didn't. So part of that was Camp Sanguinity, cancer camp that is taken part here in Texas. And that was really when I saw cancer like physically speaking, because all I knew was me,
Mhm.
cancer, what I looked like, what was going on, how was I feeling. But then I was able to see it in a different form. I was also immersed in Camp Sanguinity to feel normal, right? To feel like I belonged. I didn't have to explain why I was bald and had little hair, why my endurance was not up to par, why I had to go to the med clinic and take medicine. We didn't have to explain ourselves. We could just play and be normal kids. And I did see at that point at cancer camp that I had, you know, a good cancer, if that's even a real term you want to use. But it was a good prognosis. There were other kids that, of course, that was going to be their last time to enjoy camp. I would not see them
Mhm.
next year. And those were things in my mind that I had to process and grieve as a young child, and try to understand, even though I really didn't understand it.
Yeah.
As I grew older and I matured and I became a mom, is kind of when it all came flooding back. Like what I
Mhm.
went through and the trauma, I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is crazy. And being face to face with death as a young child. And so it was really, it kind of went through the grieving process again, so to speak.
Yeah.
When I wanted to write my book to help people during their time of need and when they're in the lowest of low, that I meet them there with, if it's them themselves being diagnosed with breast cancer, or if it's their child being diagnosed with leukemia or a bone cancer. I want to be able to meet them where they're at, because there are people in my life that met me where I was at. And I do believe that God put that community, put people in place long before I was diagnosed in order to fill my cup and thrive and just be the person that I am today. Even though cancer was a bad beginning, it was the beginning to a beautiful story, to where God molded me to become a pediatric nurse. I do not work on the oncology floor. I don't think that my heart and my mind could handle that, but I do work at a pediatric, like primary care physician office. And so I get to kind of be the front line, right? I mean, that's where mom brings the newborn baby for the first time,
Mhm.
where they bring the kiddo in when they're sick. I see those moms come in that are frightened and they're scared because they have a newborn baby and they don't know what to do. And I've seen them when they don't know what to do because their child is running a high fever, and I can meet them where they're at and provide them with hope and encouragement, and be able to help them understand that they're not alone. I'm trying to give back to the place that gave me a second chance of life through God. There's a quote in my book that I hold on to a lot. And my mom helped me write my book, because I was a little girl and she helped fill in the gaps, conversations that
Mhm.
happened, feelings she felt, things that she saw me, watched me do or act, that she filled in the gaps to create this beautiful story. And
Mhm.
one of those quotes is, "I had cancer, but God brought Dr. Bowman into my life." And so anytime I walk into the clinic, or I'm walking into, like, I don't want to call it a mission field, but when I'm walking into my community, I want to be able to put on, Dr. Bowman and Jill, my child life specialist, my mom, and be those people that brought a sense of comfort and healing to me, and be able to provide that back to my community and to the people that need it.
That's amazing. I think it's so beautiful how you have, I mean, you call it like this 360,
Yeah.
how like coming from such a low point and like scary, I'm sure, for your family, for, as your mom, and like being a child and walking through that. And now being on the other side of that and being able to be that light and that person in other people's lives is so crazy and so beautiful and cool. I love that so much. And I would love to know, as we open this up, how has your faith evolved in this journey? And like, what was it like for you and your family walking through that season of, scary diagnosis? Like, did you guys have a faith, or how did it evolve through that?
Yeah, my family has always gone to church. It's always been a part of our lives, and my mom clung on to that. And she knew that I had a purpose, whether it was going to be a short, 8, 9 years of life, or if it was going to be 36 years now. My mom wanted to do the best that she could with the time that she had with me, and she wanted to make sure that it was a positive experience, that God was using our family, and that we didn't want to push our faith away, but lean into it. Um,
Mm.
and so as I grew and I matured, so did my faith. And I just continued to lean into it. I'm like, God, you cured me. I'm doing pretty well. I do have side effects of chemo and I have an autoimmune disease, but like, what is it that you have for me? Like, it's you saved me and you've brought me to this place now. Like, I'm not just here for no reason. Like, there's a purpose.
Mhm.
And so continue to use me, open my heart and my eyes to see the needs around me and where I'm supposed to help, to be a vessel for him.
Yeah, that's amazing that you guys had faith to cling to through that time because I just can't imagine. I mean, so many believers, women, moms especially have these fears about cancer and sickness. I mean, it's scary going through that and then even, the fear of potentially going through that. But what would you say to someone who's scared of illness and, maybe they're facing illness and they're like, I don't know, how do I hold on to hope through this situation that seems so hopeless?
Right. There's not a true good answer to that, really. Honestly, my oldest girl is about to be the same age as when I was
Mm.
diagnosed. So there's always that fear. Of course, research and scientists and oncologists have said that it's highly unlikely, but, you know, you never know. So
Right.
that fear of whatever may be coming, let's just say that, cannot find my word
Mm.
today. The fear of anxiety or worrying about what the old, we need to give that to God, first and
Mm.
foremost. If you are in the thick of it and your child is battling cancer, I may not know your name, I may not know your child's name, but you're in my heart and you're in my mind, and I'm praying for you. When I wrote this book for us to lean into our faith and to continue to know that each day that we're alive, that God is wanting to use it for good and to give Satan
Mhm.
the black eye. Um,
Mhm.
and so I just want people to know that don't stay stuck. Just look for the good and just keep going, keep thriving, and know that there's a community right behind you that's ready and willing to help physically, mentally, emotionally, and let them help. And I know that that's easier said than done as us moms because we want to do everything, anything and everything. We want to be super mom, but sometimes we have to let our vulnerability take over and let them help. I know that I'm thinking about a family right now, and it's a mom and a daughter that are fighting cancer. And she always has a positive outlook, and she's always sharing encouraging things. And she's in the lowest of lows right now. She is in
Mhm.
the thick of treatments, and I admire her. Like, would I be able to do that if that were my child? Would I be able to do the exact same thing that my mom did? And I just pray that God would give me the strength, no matter what life brings. I'm just asking God to equip me for that. And so I think that should be our prayer for anything in life: is God equip me for whatever life wants to bring, and help it not break our faith, but make us stronger.
That's so good, Kelly. I love that. And I would love to hear your thoughts about this idea of healing because obviously it's a very big and complex topic
Yeah.
that can be confusing sometimes. And I mean, you even mentioned your experience getting to know other kids who were fighting cancer when you were young. And then, you know, some you wouldn't see again, or you knew that the end was coming for them. And like, I would love to just hear you unpack kind of like that idea of healing, that maybe it's not always healing on this side of heaven. Maybe our healing is, going to be with the Lord. And like, how do we wrestle through that, whether it's someone we love who is fighting cancer, or maybe it's somebody who's going through it themselves? Like, how do we find peace, still believing in healing, even if things don't go according to our plan or what we expect, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I mean, I think all of our bodies are broken some way, whether that's emotionally, mentally, physically, or all of it. I think healing 100% is going to take place on heaven, definitely. But right now, the only healing that we are going to be able to see on this side of heaven is when we lean into God and His Word and we figure out the purpose that He has for us. And I think when we lean into Him, He gives us the healing that we need in our hearts. And as I said before, like all of our bodies are broken in some way just because sin and food and all the things. But
Mhm.
I know that if we just continue to lean on our community and continue to learn and be in Him, that He will give us what we need, the strength and the ability to do what it is He has for us. Healing is found in Him and with other people. Like isolating ourselves, I think we all figured that out with COVID, that isolating ourselves only increased the amount of mental illnesses, drug addiction, all the things. And so surrounding ourselves with community and with like minded families, I think that brings a tremendous amount of healing. I mean, just think about Camp Sanguinity, cancer camp. That was therapy in of itself right there, is to be
Mhm.
with the same type of people and be able to heal together. There was one evening where we were able to grieve the people that we lost that past year. We lived
Mhm.
in, we had a memorial service. And so we make sure that they are in the forefront of our minds. And it also allows us to live for the day, live the fullest life that you can, because you don't know what the day holds or what the future holds.
Mhm.
And so to live life to the fullest, take advantage of every opportunity, watching kiddos, struggle and not come back from cancer is a wake up call.
Mhm.
It turns your life around and it makes you appreciate everything that you have, what if it's little or a lot, and it makes you know what life is truly about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're so right. And I love that you pointed out our bodies are broken,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be something in us that won't be complete until we're face to face with Jesus in heaven. And I think it's so beautiful how you said that so much of our healing comes from knowing we're broken, but that God is the one who ultimately will restore that, whether on earth or in heaven. Because I feel like a lot of the times, and whether it's cancer or another sickness or another circumstance that wasn't what we wanted or expected in life, it can be so easy to think, God, why have you abandoned me? Like, this wasn't supposed to be, this isn't how it's supposed to be. And we can get so discouraged and we can feel so hopeless, like in those circumstances where we feel like, I believe, God, you're good, but I know this is not how it's supposed to be. So I love that you have mentioned these things that can kind of serve as an anchor when we're going through seasons like that, like being surrounded by community and knowing what God's word actually says is truth, that He is good, detached from our circumstances and our outcomes. I would love to know, were there things during your time that made you and your family feel supported? Like, what can we do if we have people in our lives who are suffering from cancer and other illnesses? How can we show up as the body of Christ to support and love our neighbors?
I mean, back then when I was diagnosed, we did not have social media. So
Mm.
I feel like it's a little bit easier these days to be able to know the needs around you a lot quicker than when I was diagnosed. I remember one of the first things that my mom did when we came home from the hospital. One of the first things she wanted to do was write letters to everybody,
Mm.
um, to let them know. She had a stack of letters that she had typed up. That was her Facebook post, so to speak, to let everyone know in her community and her family what was going on, because she could not take the time to call every single person, and so to be able to mail a letter like that. And I imagine that a lot of people took that letter and they stuck it on their fridge, or they had it in their Bible, because there was just a tremendous amount of prayer that surrounded our family for the next 2.5 years. We've had people bring meals. Of course, we had a church that loved on us tremendously. We had people in the community that did fundraisers, garage sales, because, medical expenses are not cheap. But I do remember that I've never heard my mom or dad speak of having trouble paying any sort of medical bill. um, even when I was little till now, because I mean, there's still medical bills because they followed me till I was like 27. So, growing up in that, I heard conversations because I'm old enough to hear, and but I never heard her say that she struggled with bills. And so I think that that's a total God thing. That was a community thing, insurance thing, a job that kept her. She still had the same job from the time that I was diagnosed till the time that she retired. And so God protected her in that way. Not only me, but her and her career and her job. That is definitely something that I truly just covet, and know that God has a plan, He has a purpose in every little thing that He does. We don't need to doubt Him. Like, He's working in the small details, or He's working on another person while you're over here, waiting and being obedient. He's working on that other person, and we just have to be patient. When we're waiting and He's silent, that's when doubt can creep in, or we want to turn away and be disobedient. I'm preaching to myself now, but patient to what that is, what that might be, He's doing.
Yeah, that's so good. So I love that you have this faith, and you even said it in the beginning, like your mom knew even then, like you have a purpose. No
Yeah.
matter how long your time on earth is, like you have a purpose. There's a calling on your life. And have there been moments in your life since then where fear and doubt has tried to come sneak back in and like just cause you to worry again about illness in your life, or how do you cling to that sense of purpose now, like even though life is still hard? I imagine like going through that experience doesn't mean you're exempt from all future suffering, and so how do you continue to cling to those promises even now?
Yeah, I mean, there are days where fear or doubt creeps in, but I just try to push it away. I know I try to stay optimistic and stay positive. There's been times where there's been lulls, and I'm like, am I still doing the right thing, God? Like,
Mm,
am I supposed to be doing something different? And I just keep going. I just look to the future, and I keep taking one step forward. Life is going to bring challenges. I'm 36. My girls are 6 and 4. So we are not in the thick of life just yet. We're not in the years. So I know that there's going to be challenges ahead, and I'm just going to have to remain faithful, and there's just no other choice. And God will equip me for what it is, whatever season of life we're in. And I know that God will surround me with the right people, because He has from the beginning. Remember all the Bible stories growing up, and the ones that you hear now is like, Noah. He had all the material that he needed to build an ark. He had all the community around him and all the animals, and so he had everything that he needed. He just needed to be obedient. That for us, He has all the resources around us, and He'll provide. We just have to say yes and keep walking forward. Whenever God was asking me to write my book, I kept telling Him no, kept telling Him no. And every time I would enter the sanctuary at our church on Sunday, He kept asking, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So my book, I kid you not, from the time that I said yes and I took my first step, my book was together within a couple of months, and so many doors opened up. You wouldn't even believe it. Just God God, Holy Spirit filled moments. This being one right here, us meeting together and connecting, this is one of them, one of the many ones. And so I just have to know that there's more out there, and there's going to be good and there's going to be bad. And I just have to take those bad and learn from them and keep my faith growing.
That's amazing, Kelly. And I think it's so amazing how you mentioned earlier that you didn't let your experience with cancer mark an ending for you. You
Yeah.
know, it was the beginning of this testimony that God has used in more ways than I'm sure you could have even imagined. I mean, this book and the women you're able to encourage now, like other families and other moms who are going through this, and just your willingness to say yes. I feel like those are two of the hardest things in this faith journey, is just not letting the enemy convince you that your suffering or your trials are the end for you. God is still working. He can still use your story at any time, any point in your timeline. And then also, like, our willingness to say yes when God gives us opportunities to then take that story and continue to give him glory through it. Like, what has that been like for you on this side? Saying yes to the Lord and like seeing the ways that he has used this story in so many amazing and maybe even unexpected ways.
Yeah. It's definitely been little glimpses of heaven. Like, I can't even imagine what heaven's going to be like, or what I wouldn't even can't even fathom what a 100% like cancer free or broken body free, like what does that feel like or look like, you know?
Yeah.
But it's nice to sit there and imagine and think about it, talk about it with my girls, like from 6 and 4, to ask them what heaven's going to look like and what they
Mm,
want it to look like is really fun. Um, so to let their imaginations run wild, and I'm a child of God too, so to let my imagination run wild is pretty cool. God has purpose for each and every one of us. We have to
yes.
lean into that, figure out what it is, and don't let doubt or fear creep in, and just keep going one step at a time. There's beauty in the world, but there's also evil, and I just want to outshine the evil
Mm,
and outshine all the negativity that you can easily find on social media or on the news. And like, we just need more kind people and kind kindness in the world in general. And
yes.
I want to be known for that person that tried to spread it and the kindness and not promote the evil. And my kids need that. My girls need that. And I try to challenge them to do the same thing. When you're at school, if you see someone struggling, if you see a student struggling or the teacher struggling, get up, get help. With your eyes, look and observe, and with your ears, listen, and you'll find who you need to help and their needs.
Mm.
That simplistic thinking of who it is and what it is around me that needs God, needs kindness, and needs an extra hand at that time.
You know, I think it's so beautiful that you have allowed God to use your suffering to shape your faith, and then also the way that you interact with other people, like the way that you love people. I mean, you've chosen to be a pediatric nurse now and to serve other families. Like, that is a decision we all come face to face with at some point in our journey and in our suffering and hard seasons, especially. But we can become resentful. We can become bitter. We can let it turn us away from God. We can let it like really stifle our faith, but it just shows so much of your strength and like how your faith has been forged through fire, truly. Like your willingness to come out on the other side and stay so tender and compassionate and aware of the people who are around you that God has put in your path to love. Are there things that you, like little moments along your path, that you've noticed how God has taught you that? Like, how do we choose between allowing our circumstances to make us bitter and kind of shut down our faith versus allowing it to be something that draws us closer to the Lord and keeps us tender?
Yeah. I look at it like there's not another option. Um,
Mm,
there's one person that comes to my mind, and she's gone through a couple of, well, I don't want to just say a couple, some very traumatic moments in her life, and she
mm,
has just resented and pushed back on God and become angry. And I'm like, that has to drain you. And
mm.
more energy to feel that way and to push God back than it is to lean on Him and be kind and compassionate towards others and to live out the purpose that God would want you to have
Mm.
through traumatic moments. He would want to use you so that you could help other families. There's a verse in the Bible that talks about He allows us to go through things and He comforts us, and then that comfort that we receive, I feel like that's a commandment, and He wants us to go out and comfort those the way that He's comforted us. And I just don't feel like being angry and resentful and bitter just drains you and takes more energy and thought to do that and to feel that way constantly than it is to just let it go and just let God take over and just let Him fill you with His Holy Spirit and allow Him to guide you with a sense of purpose. I don't
Mm.
feel like there wouldn't be as much resistance. You are pushing against resistance, against the wind, against the waves, whereas you could just thrive in an easy, narrow path. It's not going to be easy, or it'll be hard, but there won't be so much resistance.
I get that, what you're saying, and I think that's such a good way to put it. It's not that faith is easy. A lot of the time it's easier said than done, but there is an ease to surrendering all
Yeah.
of those things that are so heavy to carry. I mean, there have been times in my life where I just feel the weight of everything you just said. Like when I feel resentful or bitter or frustrated or discouraged and just upset about my season, I even recently have just come to this place of realizing, wow, when we can finally stop resisting the
Mm.
season that we're in, we actually can experience the peace and the hope and the freedom that comes with surrendering that to the Lord. And I think we miss that so much. Like we miss our potential to just rest in the Lord when we fight our season and we just have so much resistance and causes us to get bitter.
I'll be honest, confess a little bit. When I do get angry about something very little or what very minute, my natural ability, like for example, if I get mad at my husband, my natural thing is like I just don't want to talk to you right now. I just want to go to the I want to see you. I don't want to talk to you, because if I do, then I may say something that I will regret saying. But if I cannot ignore him. We live together in our house. We raise our babies. We have to communicate. And I feel like God's like that too. Like if we stay angry, He is with us all the time. We are created in His image. We are with Him. He's with us. He's never going to leave us. And for us to continue to like turn away from Him every time that He tries to get back into your life, that's a lot of work. So,
Yeah. That's
so
such a good way to put it though. Like in that relationship, it's like, you know, we can, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. I sometimes think that being stubborn about it, and I'm like, you know what? If you're not going to answer my prayers, then I'll go figure it out on my own and I'll go take control and I'll do it my own way. And then pretty much every time I just wind up in a bigger mess, you know? And then, I mean, I'm thankful for his kindness that leads us to repentance and his grace every single time, because I've learned thankfully as I've matured in my faith and gotten older, like to come back more quickly. And I realize what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry. I shut you out again. And I think that marriage example it's
yeah,
such a perfect illustration, because we do that with the Lord. It's so easy to just say, I'm upset. I'm frustrated. I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to look at you. I don't want to talk to you right now. When really, like, the healing and the restoration that we need comes from being willing to confront that
mhm.
for the sake of getting to a place of reconciliation, you know? And like the Lord, He wants to do that with us. Well, I so admire your faith, Kelly, and your willingness to step out and just share this story, because there's so many of us. I mean, I don't think there's a human on this earth who hasn't gone through a season that has tempted them to throw in the towel and
Yeah.
get bitter. It would be easy to, but to be willing to stay in it and continue walking with the Lord, I just really admire that faith and the way that it has shaped your relationship with others and with the Lord too. So I would love to know before we go, is there anything else you would want to say to someone who maybe is in that dark season right now, whether it's wrestling with cancer or some other season of suffering?
Yeah, I want to just read a little bit of part of my book at the very end. It says, week by week, I was mandated to follow the chemotherapy protocol, take my medicine, eat, rest, go to the clinic, and start all over the next week. I was not discriminated enough to know that these days of my childhood would mold me, define me, and project me into the beautiful life I am now living. We all have these moments, and very often they have nothing to do with cancer. But but for me, I came to realize that I was not the hero in my own life story. There were so many others. My journey was a symphony, and no one can whistle a symphony alone. And so my my last words to anyone that's suffering is like, don't isolate yourself, don't be alone. Look to the people around you, your church, your community, your neighbors, and let them know that what's going on, so that they can rally around you and meet the needs. Because if we isolate ourselves, it's just going to get worse, and we can't do it by ourselves. There's just no way.
Yep. I 100% agree. I echo everything you just said. That's so good. And I'm just so thankful for you, Kelli. Thank you so much for being here with us today, sharing your story and just being willing to continue on this journey that is just become this ripple effect impacting so many other lives. So, you got to tell everybody, where can they get your book and connect with you from here?
Yeah. So I live in the Aledo, Weatherford area. And so connect with me on Facebook. I'm easy to find. You can just search my name. And I do have copies on Amazon as well. If you just type in my name on Facebook, type in my name on the Amazon, anything like that, you'll be able to pull this up. And I would love to connect with you. If you live close by, I would love to hear your story. I mean, it's not about selling books. It's about connecting and hearing each other's stories, and letting us know how we can pray for each other, support each other. And so, yeah, so Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, I would love to connect with you.
Absolutely. Well, y'all know I'll make sure everything is linked so you can go connect with Kelli. But thank you again so much for being here. I am so grateful for you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to tune in to another episode of the Byword Show. I love having you here, and your support truly means the world to me. If you enjoyed this episode, would you leave a quick review? It really helps our community grow and reach more women. If you want more, you can shop my books, Waking Up, Living Open, and Love Is on Amazon, and be sure to sign up for my email list so you always get the latest news. I can't wait to chat again soon, but in the meantime, be sure to come hang out with me on social media, and remember, I'm cheering you on.